Hi friends, Miss Kristi here, and I am so excited to be together again cooking in the kitchen. Today we are learning how to make Peanut Butter Krispie Bites. This fun treat uses just 5 ingredients, it's no bake, and we will make 12 bites. We're gonna have fun making this together today, and I'm so glad you're here.
All is calm and all is bright tonight.
Now, the first step to cooking and working in the kitchen is to wash our hands. Well, I wash my hands with soap and warm water for at least 20 seconds. Let's go over the ingredients and supplies that you'll need to gather to cook along today. The ingredients you'll need are 3/4 cup of powdered sugar, 1/2 cup of creamy peanut butter, 1/2 cup of Rice Krispie cereal, 1/4 cup of chocolate chips, and 2 tablespoons of butter. The supplies you'll need are a mixing bowl, a plate, liquid measuring cup, 1/4 cup dry measuring cup, 1 tablespoon, a spoon, a butter knife, a fork, and a small sheet of parchment paper. Okay, great. Your hands are clean and my hands are clean. We've gathered our ingredients and supplies, so let's get started making our Peanut Butter Krispie Bites. This is just a fun treat that we can learn to make for ourselves. It's no bake, so it only takes about an hour in our refrigerator to harden up, so let's get started. The very first thing I wanna do is I'm going to measure out my chocolate chips that we will melt in our microwave to dunk our bites into, but I wanna measure them first before our measuring cup gets all dirty with peanut butter and everything. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is grab your 1/4 cup dry measuring cup. It's the one that says 1/4. It's the only one like this today that we're using. So go ahead and grab that and grab your liquid measuring cup. We're not actually gonna measure anything in here directly. We're just gonna use this to melt our chocolate. So this is our container. So grab those 2 things and then grab your chocolate chips. I'm using mini chocolate chips today just because that's what I had in my pantry. You can use regular sized, mini, whatever you have on hand. We just need 1/4 cup of chocolate chips. So I'm going to measure that out and just dump it right into my liquid measuring cup. You can set your chocolate chips to the side. We're done with those. And then we're actually just gonna put this to the side. We will melt this in a little bit. Well, first we need to get our bites made and rolled out, but I just wanna have this ready. So I'm gonna set that to the side. Go ahead and keep this near you because we will use this to measure quite a few things in a minute. But now we need to melt some butter. So grab your mixing bowl. This is where everything's gonna get mixed in today, and put that right in front of you. And then grab your butter. And because I'm going to measure 2 tablespoons of butter, I also need my 1 tablespoon, it says 1 TBSP, and my butter knife. Now, as I always say, if you have a stick of butter that has the lines measured for you, you can just cut 2 tablespoons. So that would be 2 lines that you would cut. That would be your 2 tablespoons. If you have like a tub of butter, this is where this would come in handy to grab your tablespoon, and I'm gonna fill 2 of these up with butter. So I'm gonna grab my butter and my butter knife, and if you've watched, we do this quite a bit, and I'm just going to put in 1 tablespoon of butter, using my butter knife and my tablespoon. I have 1 tablespoon of butter. I'm just going to pop this right into my bowl, and I need 1 more. I'm just taking my knife and pressing it in. You can put your tablespoon on whatever work surface you're using too, and just hold it there. That can make it a little bit easier to fill it up with butter. As long as we get 2 tablespoons, that's what we need for this recipe. Or like I said, if you have a stick of butter and it has the lines cut at 2 lines, and that'll be 2 tablespoons of butter. It's a little bit easier than doing this, but just know this is an option if you need to. So you can go ahead and put your butter knife to the side. We are actually done with that. And any leftover butter that you might have. Actually, I need my knife real quick to pop this in here. So once you get your 2 tablespoons of butter into the bowl, you can then put your butter knife to the side, and you can put your tablespoon to the side because that's all we use those for, to measure our butter. Now I want to melt this slightly so that when we roll out our bites, it's not really chunky and we need kind of a soft butter. So I'm gonna pop my whole mixing bowl into the microwave for 20 seconds and then we'll start adding a few more ingredients. So in it goes in the microwave for 20 seconds. All right, friends, so this just microwaved for 20 seconds and you can see our butter has softened or maybe it's even melted a little bit depending on if your butter was room temperature or not. So we're gonna go ahead and put this right back in front of us because this is where we are gonna put all of our other ingredients. Now you're gonna wanna grab your powdered sugar and that 1/4 cup dry measuring cup again. We need 3/4 of a cup of powdered sugar. So I'm gonna do 3 of these. So this is 1/4, we need 3/4, so we're gonna do 3 scoops of powdered sugar right into our bowl. I'm gonna do 1, 2, and 3. And this gives us 3/4 cups of powdered sugar. Now that is a lot of sugar, so this is definitely a treat that we're making for ourselves. I wouldn't recommend eating all 12 bites that we make. Definitely share them. We're gonna talk about how you can save them because there is a lot of sugar in here, but every once in a while that's okay. You can put your powdered sugar aside. We are done using that. Keep your dry measuring cup because we're gonna use it right now. Grab your Rice Krispie cereal, and we need 1/2 cup of Rice Krispie cereal. So I'm gonna do 2 of these. So this is 1/4 cup, we need 1/2 cup. So we're gonna do 2 scoops of this into our bowl. So here is 1, and here is 2. That gives us 1/2 cup of Rice Krispie cereal. You can go ahead and put your Rice Krispie cereal to the side because we will not use that again. And now you wanna grab your spoon and your peanut butter. So I'm just gonna open up my jar and I need 1/2 cup of peanut butter. So we're gonna use the same one that we've been using. Just makes it easy, you don't have to dirty more dishes. We are gonna fill this up twice with peanut butter. So I'm just gonna grab my spoon. Right out of the jar it goes, and we're gonna do 1/2 cup. So this is 1/4, so we're gonna do the first one. That's gonna get right into our bowl with our other ingredients. All right, so here is my first one. That gives us 1/4 cup of peanut butter. Try to scoop out as much as possible because we do need all of our peanut butter to be our glue for our bites. So I'm scraping out as much as I can with my spoon, and then we're gonna measure 1 more 1/4 cup. I'm just taking my spoon, scooping it right out, and putting it right into my measuring cup. Give us 1/2 cup of peanut butter. And I am using creamy peanut butter. You could try crunchy peanut butter. I've never made it with crunchy peanut butter. It just helps, the creamy one helps it to be a little bit more smooth when we roll out our bites. But if all you have is crunchy peanut butter, go ahead and use it because it would work too. All right, so my second one goes in. This gives us 1/2 cup of peanut butter. Again, I want to scrape out as much as possible using this peanut butter, not only for the flavor, but it helps hold everything together. All right, we are now done with our 1/4 cup, so you can set that to the side. Any leftover peanut butter you have, you can put to the side. And now I just need to mix this together. So I'm gonna just use the same spoon that we've been using, save us a dish. And this is the part that probably takes the most patience. There's a lot of powdered sugar in there. And our Rice Krispies, we're just going to mix this until like a big dough ball forms. So, just mixing it together. We want to get all of that powdered sugar mixed in. So you're probably gonna have to scrape it off your spoon, put it back in there, and mix, mix, mix. You could use your hands if you wanted. Our hands are clean, so if you prefer to use your hands and you don't mind getting them sticky, you could do that too. I'm just gonna use the spoon today, but I will know when it's all mixed together when I don't really see much powdered sugar anymore. And you're mostly seeing that peanut butter color. But we want a nice dough ball to form here so we can roll out our 12 bites. So I'm kind of using the back of my spoon here, really trying to mix it together. It's taking a little bit of muscle, so you gotta have some patience, but it'll be worth it. All right. So you can see that most of my powdered sugar is all mixed together. And we've got this dough ball that has now formed in our bowl. So I think we are about ready to start rolling them out onto our parchment paper. Now, I like them to be the same size and I know how much I need. So I'm actually going to grab my tablespoon again, the one that we use for the butter, and I'm gonna measure out 1 tablespoon at a time. Now you don't have to use this, you could just grab some and roll them into a ball, but if you wanna make exactly 12, this should do the trick. So grab your tablespoon if you're gonna use it, and then grab your plate and your parchment paper. It is important that we use parchment paper today so that when we pop these in the refrigerator for an hour, they don't stick to our plate. If you put them just on a plate, they are gonna stick to them, and when you go to eat them, it's gonna make it a little bit hard to take them off and they might break. So the parchment paper helps because they lift right off. So put your plate down, put your parchment paper right on top, and I'm gonna take off any rings that I might have or jewelry on your hands because we're about to get our hands a little bit messy, so that's a good thing that they're clean. Grab your tablespoon if you're gonna use it, and we're just gonna take a scoop out. You can kind of see how I'm pushing it against the side of the bowl so it's nice and flat, and then I'm just using my hands to scoop it out. And we are going to roll out 12 of these. You don't want to push too hard when you're rolling them in between your hands. You don't want to squish them, but we need 12 bites. And it should make about that much. If it doesn't and you end up with a little bit less or maybe even one more bonus, that's okay too. All right. All right, friends, so this is the last one. I think I'm gonna might have a little bit extra, but that's all right. I'll leave it in the bowl, so we'll end up with 12. So if you end up with a little bit more, awesome, you get a bonus one. I'm gonna stick to 12. You can go ahead and put this away, and I'm actually gonna rinse my hands real quick because they're sticky before we end up having to wash melt our chocolate chips. So I'm gonna rinse my hands real quick. All right, so the next step is going to be to melt our chocolate because we are gonna dunk these in chocolate before we pop them in our refrigerator, and they end up tasting so good. So what I'm gonna do now is we already pre-measured this. I'm going to pop this in the microwave for 45 seconds. We're gonna need to stir it, and then it goes in for another 45 seconds. So if you watch the channel a lot, we melt a lot of chocolate. So usually a good 45 seconds, stirring in 45 seconds does the trick. So 45 seconds in the microwave, and then we'll talk about stirring it. All right, friends, the first 45 seconds is done. So all I'm gonna do is grab the handle and give this a little stir. I'm just using the fork that we have in our supply list. So I'm just taking my fork, giving it a little bit of stir to start the melting. Don't want anything on the bottom to burn. So once you've given it a tiny stir, try to keep as many chocolate chips in there as possible off your fork. And now we're gonna pop it back in for one more 45 seconds. Okay, friends, so the second 45 seconds is done. I'm gonna take my fork again and give this a stir. So if you look at it right out of the microwave, you're still gonna see probably some chocolate chips in there, but the minute we start to stir it, everything melts together. This is only 1/4 cup of chocolate chips, so it's not a lot in there, but it's enough to dunk all 12 of our bites to cover the top in chocolate. I'm gonna use the same fork, and all I'm gonna do is poke one of my bites, dunk it in the chocolate. We've got clean hands, and then I'm just gonna flip it over so the chocolate's on the top and put it right back on the plate. And I'm gonna do that with all 12. So I'm going to poke my bite, dunk it in the chocolate. You might have to tip your chocolate as it gets to the bottom and put it right back on the plate. So same thing, poke my bite, dunk it in our chocolate, put it right back on the plate. All right, last one. Now, if you make this again and you found that maybe your bites were falling apart or they were a little bit too soft, you can always pop them in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes before you dunk them in the chocolate. That'll help keep them together a little bit more. But as long as you're poking them gently, maybe even just drop them in there and flip them over with your fork and pull them out, that can help. But just know if they break apart, that's happened to me. This is why we try our recipes, trial and error. You'll find a method that works for you if you try this again. So now that these are all dunked in chocolate, you can put your chocolate to the side, you can put your fork to the side. We are done with that, because the very last step is just to pop them in the refrigerator for 1 hour. So 60 minutes is what I have on my timer. I'm gonna now put these in my refrigerator for 1 hour, and as soon as that timer goes off, we will get them out and we'll give them a try. So in they go. Okay friends, this is exciting. My 1 hour timer went off. I have taken my Peanut Butter Krispie Bites out of the refrigerator, and this is it. Now they are done. So I want to show you with the parchment paper how they lift right off after being in the refrigerator for an hour. That chocolate is hard, your bite has hardened up. So this is just a really fun treat to try. We only use those 5 ingredients, rolled them into our 12 bites, dunked them in chocolate, popped them in our refrigerator for an hour, and now we have this fun treat that we have learned to make for ourselves. If you don't eat them or share them all right away, I wouldn't advise eating them all right away if you don't share them. Put them in a baggie or put them in a container with a lid and put them back in the refrigerator. They'll stay good for about a week or so, so you have a couple to share later. Maybe have one a day for a few days, but they will stay good in the refrigerator for at least a week or so. So I do hope you try and make these or try and make them again. And when you do, let me know how it goes. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you have any questions. I love getting to hear from you. You can even send me a picture of how your Peanut Butter Krispie Bites turned out. I'd love to get to see your creation, and maybe we could share it next week. Now, speaking of next week, on next week's episode, which is episode 69, we are learning how to make an air fryer chicken quesadilla. This small meal uses only 4 ingredients. It cooks in our air fryer for just 8 minutes, and we will make 2 chicken quesadillas. In order to cook along and make our air fryer chicken quesadillas, these are the ingredients that you'll need to have in your kitchen for next week. 2 flour tortillas, half a cup of shredded cheese, half a cup of cooked shredded chicken, and 1 teaspoon of olive oil. Well friends, our time together today is almost over. I do hope you've enjoyed learning how to make our Peanut Butter Krispie Bites. I know I had fun, and I already can't wait to cook together again next time. But before you say goodbye to this episode, make sure to click subscribe if you haven't already. You just have to click the little picture of me in the corner. That way you don't miss next week's episode. It'll be out on Friday, and I'll see you then. Bye friends, it's time to eat.